last month that they would cut its rates due to a lack of passengers. They were only averaging 2,300 that they would cut its rates due to a lack of passengers. They were only averaging 2,300 passengers a day instead of the expected 5,000. The express train was heavily criticized since its inception for being unaffordable for the average Ontario family. The public transportation app Swiftly is reporting that 53% of TTC buses and streetcars arrive off schedule. Off schedule is defined as either 1 minute early or 4 minutes late. As for now, 44.1% of vehicles are arriving too early. Just 8.9% arrive late. Swiftly has offered to partner with the TTC to optimize bus scheduling and applauds the efforts being made by Toronto to improve transportation services.
A public meeting is being held tonight in Toronto to discuss bike lane designs for Bloor Street. The designs include 1 lane of traffic in each direction and a separated bike lane. The bike lanes from Shaw Street to Avenue Road could be built in the summer if City Council approves the plan. The Bloor Lane is part of a plan to add 41 kilometers of bike lanes to Toronto.
A man's body was found today after a fire at a Caledon home last weekend. The missing man was identified as 65-year-old Adon Gubert. The blaze was started around 6 a.m. on Sunday morning on O'Reilly Lane, Gore and Mayford Road area. Gubert was one of the 3 people living in the home at the time of the incident. They're on Mayford Road area. Gubert was one of the 3 people living in the home at the time of the incident. There's no word yet on what could have caused the fire, but according to officials, it started in the basement.
Ontario couple accused of killing a man and his mother have been committed to stand trial for first-degree murder as early as September. Melissa Merritt and common-law husband Christopher Fattore were also tried last year for the first degree in the death of William Harrison, but Christopher Fattore's charge was reduced to second-degree murder due to insufficient evidence. Halton police have arrested Richard Mathers of Oakville in connection with 3 different pharmacy robbings. Police were called yesterday to a Shoppers Drug Mart on Upper Middle Road. Police say a man reportedly entered the store and demanded prescription drugs. It was the second time this Shoppers Drug Mart was robbed since the end of January. The same man is also thought to be connected to a robbery at a pharmacy on Guelph Line. Mathers is charged with 4 counts of robbery.
International Women's Day is important not only to honor women worldwide, but to advocate for the ones in 2016 who are still not given access to basic human rights. Reporter Chantal Prescott went to an event being held by Zonta International Women's Club of Oakville. Let's take a look.
Happy International Women's Day!
More than 1,000 women and men gathered at the dinner party held by the Zonta Club of Oakville for International Women's Day. The event was in an effort to raise money and awareness for women in places like Africa and Afghanistan that experience sexual exploitation and a lack of education.
It's time for all of us as global citizens to work towards the rights of women to have an education, to choose their life partner.
Women build communities, women build societies, women build and sustain societies. Women are the caregivers, women are the nurturers of societies.
Keynote speaker Sally Armstrong, who is referred to as the war correspondent for the world's women, has gone to extreme lengths to expose the sexual abuse and lack of access girls and women in places like Africa and Afghanistan experience.
The worst day in the lives of fundamentalists and extremists and misogynists had to have been the day those women got together and started talking to each other. But there's plenty of evidence today to say that girls and women are making moves that they've never made before.
Sally's passion for exposing injustices resonated throughout the room.
Changing the status of women globally starts at events like this, right here, where we can all come together, start the conversation, and spark real change by banding together. For Ion Sheridan, I'm Chantal Prescott.
Which iconic Canadian woman would you want to see on Our Money? Canadians now have the opportunity to nominate an exemplary woman to appear on our banknotes. Citizens have until April 15th to visit the Bank of Canada's website to submit nominations. Nominees can be any April 15th to visit the Bank of Canada's website to submit nominations. Nominees can be any Canadian woman who has demonstrated outstanding leadership, achievement, or distinction in any field. However, they must be deceased for at least 25 years.
Rolly Fox, father of Canadian icon Terry Fox, has passed away at age 80 after a long battle with lung cancer. The family made the announcement in an official statement on the Terry Fox Foundation website. Roland, also known as Rolly, was diagnosed with lung cancer in January 2016. He lost his wife Betty in 2011. Rolly was described as extremely humorous, positive, and loving by family and friends. A $2.8 billion deal has been reached by Imperial Oil. The company is selling 497 of its Esso retail stations to 5 fuel distributors. The decision came part as the company's push to focus more on its expanding oil sands and improving its businesses. 7-Eleven is among the retailers that will purchase these stations. The stations will be owned and operated by the distributors. However, Imperial will continue to supply fuel. It's now time for a short break.
But when we come back, we'll give you an update on what's happening with the U.S. presidential race as candidates prepare for tonight's Democratic debate. And we look at the winners from last night's primaries and caucuses.
Welcome back. U.S. presidential candidates Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders will face off in the 8th Democratic debate tonight. It comes at a critical time for Sanders after his surprisingly narrow win in Michigan last night against Hillary Clinton. But Clinton increased her overall lead with a big Mississippi win.
Than Secretary Clinton against them.
Say more presidential, and I've said this a couple of times, more presidential than anybody other than the great Abe Lincoln. He was very presidential, right?
We have our differences, which you can see when we debate, but I'll tell you what, those differences pale in comparison to what's happening on the Republican side.
On the Republican side, Donald Trump won in Hawaii, Michigan, and Mississippi. After a brief ceremony with family and friends, former Republican First Lady Nancy Reagan's casket has been brought to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library for a 2-day public viewing. 8 U.S. Secret Service agents who served the Reagans assisted as pallbearers. Thousands are expected to attend and pay tribute. Funeral services will be held on Friday. Nancy Reagan will be laid to rest next to her president husband, Ronald Reagan, facing west towards the Pacific Ocean.
Portugal has sworn in its new president, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. De Sousa is promising to focus on generating growth and jobs. He's also making an appeal for better government spending after the country's recent financial crisis. The new president said in a speech that Portugal needs to heal its political and social wounds and give the people a reason for hope.
Now to Seattle, where a gas leak explosion has devastated a section of the city.
Around 1:04 this morning, we were dispatched to a report of a gas leak. Fire crews responded. They were looking for the source of the leak. About 39 minutes into that call, there was an explosion. What I can tell you is that we have 9 firefighter SFD personnel that were transported to Harborview with minor injuries. We have 1 battalion chief, and that's 8 firefighters that were transported.
2 businesses were completely destroyed and others were severely damaged. Puget Sound Energy says 5 of the 6 natural gas control valves have been shut off in the area. It's believed there are no other leaks. 5 years ago, 20,000 lives were lost in 6 minutes as the country of Japan was struck by an earthquake and tsunami, and the Fukushima nuclear power plant began to melt down. It was the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl in 1986. Today, the surrounding area is a wasteland with ghost towns of abandoned homes and destroyed buildings. Its soil and water is polluted with radiation that's still leaking today. It will take up to 40 years to clean the inhabitable area. Even now, thousands of residents are still in temporary homes, unable to return to their lives before the disaster, and the amount of cancer patients is still rising.
And today, a court in Japan ordered the shutdown of one of its 2 remaining nuclear power plants. The Takahama power plant was temporarily shut down after the Fukushima incident, when Japan suspended all atomic power production. After only 2 months of being back in service, today the plant was deemed unsafe based on safety measures created after Fukushima. The company says it will appeal the court's decision. South Korea is reacting today over a photo of Kim Jong-un standing beside what he claims is a nuclear warhead. The photo appeared on the front page of North Korea's newspaper. South Korea described the photo as an intolerable direct challenge to the international community and said the device was only a mock nuclear warhead.
Tensions have escalated between the US and Iran after 2 ballistic missiles were fired as part of an Iranian military exercise. Iranian media reported that the missiles had the phrase "Israel must be wiped off the earth" etched in Hebrew on their sides. The US says the tests are in breach of a UN resolution that states Iran is to not undertake any ballistic missile activity. The issue will be raised at the next UN Security Council meeting. A 2-year-old was found hidden in a woman's bag this morning on board a flight from Air France to Istanbul to Paris. French authorities say the child did not have a valid ticket. They did not disclose any details on the identity of the toddler or the women.
As the moon blocked out the sun in the skies over Jakarta, Indonesia this morning, crowds gathered by the thousands to view this rare spectacle. Free eclipse glasses were handed out to people who came early to view this event firsthand. The solar eclipse is the result of the moon passing directly in front of the sun, casting a shadow over the earth. Even though it was only a partial eclipse, it was still a sight to be seen and did not seem to disappoint the 4,000 plus residents who came out to enjoy it.
Junior doctors across Yorkshire, England are currently under a 48-hour, quote, emergency care only. The strike is due to a dispute over pay, working hours, and patient safety. Thousands of patients' appointments and operations are postponed, and more than 5,000 procedures have been cancelled in light of the walkout. This is the 3rd strike within the British Medical Association in the past couple of months.
Neuroengineers at École Polytechnique Fédérale in Switzerland have created an artificial fingertip that allows the wearer to feel things. Developed alongside the Italian university, the fingertip has the potential to lead into huge advancements in prosthetics. The cable fingertip is capable of distinguishing between smooth and rough textures with 96% accuracy. E-cigarettes and vapes are a booming industry. But are they safer than cigarettes? Our reporter Crystal Davine tries to find out.
Stats Canada reports as of 2013, 1 in 5 young adults aged 20 to 24 have tried e-cigarettes and vaporizers.
It got to a point where I was at like 3/4 of a pack of cigarettes a day. I started vaping with the intention to cut back on smoking cigarettes.
According to a research firm, the e-cigarette and vaporizing industry is expected to rise $50 billion over the next 25 years. But with that increase in usage, what are the health risks?
If people want to quit smoking tobacco and have failed to do so with the more conventional means like nicotine substitutes, the use of e-cigarettes may be worth a try, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be any more effective than going with the previous conventional methods.
Now that I started vaping, it's helped me cut that down significantly to half of what I smoked a year ago.
Inhaling anything other than clean air is probably not a good idea. But yes, at the most I think people would say is that it may be less harmful than smoking tobacco products, but not necessarily without harm.
At this time, the long-term effects of e-cigarettes and vaping are inconclusive. However, it is known that some of the chemicals inside of e-juice have carcinogen, which can cause lymphoma in the lungs. If you are considering using one of these to try to quit smoking, it's best to use caution. Reporting for Eye on Sheridan from the Smoker's Pit, I'm Crystal Devines. Now back to you in the room.
Coming up after the break, we'll go to sports with Molly Casey.
We'll also take a look at entertainment with Taylor Jabara. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Let's head over to Molly to get some updates from the sports world.
What's the latest on Sharapova, Molly?
Thanks, guys. Tennis star Maria Sharapova could face a ban up to 4 years, according to the former head of the World Anti-Doping Agency. Sharapova claims she has been using melatonin for 10 years due to medical reasons and did not know it was banned before this year. However, Montreal lawyer Dick Pound says it was willfully negligence. The new NFL calendar season is set to start at 4 p.m. and already there has been huge moves around the league. The Tennessee Titans finalized their trade for Eagles trade back DeMarco Murray and reunited Marcus Mariota with his former college teammate. Defense end Malik Jackson is set to sign a 6-year deal with the Jackson Jaguars, reportedly worth $90 million. Joining Jackson is former New York Jets runnie, also Chris Ivory. Also former Seattle Seahawks linebacker Bruce Irvin is leaving Seattle to plans to sign with the Oakland Raiders. Offense guard Kolichi Osomeli is also expected to sign a $58.5 million deal with the Raiders. With free agency ending just before the NFL draft next month, expect plenty of moves from the teams around the league. The Toronto Raptors beat the Brooklyn Nets for the third straight game this season. After being down 58-42, the Raps bit back, making their largest comeback of the season. Leading in the fourth quarter, the Raptors got out by as many as 10 points, and the Nets tried to make things interesting at the end, cutting the lead with just 2 minutes in the final of the game. But the Raptors held on for the win for 104-99. DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry finished the game with a combined of 48 points, and the Raptors look to take on the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow night. The Blue Jays are not the only hot topic for sports fans in Toronto. Following an unsuccessful UFC that crowned a new women's badminton champion, the popularity of female mixed martial arts has exploded inside and outside the octagon. Kyle Johnston has the story.
With their hands held high, prepared to swing away, female mixed martial artists are kicking, grappling, and punching their way into mainstream sports in Ontario.
Now they're at the forefront showing their skills, and you know, a lot of the women are better than some of the men that are out there. And it's awesome to see that that's actually out there, and it's exciting.
Since the UFC signed their first female fighter in November of 2012, we are seeing more and more females trading punches in mixed martial arts in Ontario. With a female viewership around 39%, the UFC are frontrunners in the push for female mixed martial arts, with established stars like Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm.
They fought just as hard, if not harder, than any guy would, and they have heart. Females have heart behind what they do. Not to say that males don't, but it was exposed that day.
Success and popularity at the top of the professional ladder in female MMA has not translated to smaller promotions establishing professional fights, with only 4 female fights staged in Ontario since 2013, compared to 55 for males.
How many female fighters do you really know of that are out there, that are fighting, that are trying to fight, that are at the level of Ronda Rousey?
Despite the growing popularity of female mixed martial arts, stepping into the ring as a pro in Ontario is still limited. Reporting for Ion Sheridan, I'm Kyle Johnston.
The Toronto Maple Leafs take on the New York Islanders tonight and look to snap back their 6-game losing streak. Leafs forward P.A. Parenteau is expected to be back on the ice, while Islanders starting goalie Yaroslav Halak is expected to miss the game due to a lower body injury. The puck drops at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's all I have for sports. Make sure you check out our article on the Blue Jays on www.ionsheridan.com. Now let's head over to Taylor Jabara, who has everything you need to know about entertainment. Taylor?
Well, Molly, it looks like TikTok artist Kesha won't have to work with Dr. Luke for much longer. Sources are saying Sony Music is reportedly dropping the producer a year before his contract is supposed to end due to the allegations made against the pop star. Sony has yet to release any statements to the public. And it's a sad day for all you Beatles fans out there, as legendary producer George Martin dies at 90 years young. Martin was called the studio force for many of the Beatles' popular songs. Ringo Starr, the drummer of the British band, was first to announce Martin's death on Twitter. Starr also posted a photo of the Beatles and Martin thanking him for all of his love and kindness. Martin's manager confirmed he died peacefully at home. He will truly be missed. And as rock music lost its luster, the popularity of heavy metal and rock hasn't been the same as it used to be. Reporter Neil Rampone takes a further look.
In a world ruled by pop kings and queens, we wanted to find out what people think about music that has a bit more of a bite. That's right, we're talking about metal.
It's very aggressive, and people aren't really into aggressive music.
Holding no spots in Spotify's 2015 most streamed list, as well as not being in the iTunes bestsellers, it's no surprise that the reaction is less than canny.
You see a lot more pop music and country pop mix as well, and celebrities also a big influence on it. A lot of the most popular celebrities that are around don't really do metal.
Known as Heavy Metal Morris, Paul is the musical director as well as an on-air personality at 97.7 Hits FM. When asked about the current state of rock and metal in the mainstream, he had this to say.
Overall, rock music in general is struggling. You don't see a lot of rock music in the mainstream media. Who are the stars? Maybe it's because we are going through a revolution in metal right now where there is a new sound that's going on and it's not mainstream. It's not the type of metal music that mainstream media are going to embrace.
So does metal really have a future in the mainstream? It's kind of tough to say, but maybe one day people will be convinced that metal really isn't as scary as it seems. For Ion Sheridan, I'm Neil Rampone.
The first round of the 2016 Canadian Screen Award winners was revealed, and a Sheridan graduate was among them. Journalism New Media's Chelsea Celeste shared a photo on Instagram showing off her first award win for Best Editorial Research for the Fifth Estate. She captioned her photo, "There are some moments in life that you know you won't forget. This is one of them." Celeste graduated in 2014 and now works as a producer at CBC. Comedian Sean Cullen presented 50 awards at the Toronto Gala, as well as 3 Academy Special Awards. The show airs on Sunday, March 13th. And speaking of television and film, the provincial government says Ontario's had its first best year in 2015 in the industry. Oscar-winning films like Room and Spotlight were some of the hits produced in Ontario this past year, making the province the top TV production centre in Canada. And Miley Cyrus's godmother Dolly Parton has anything but tight-lipped talking about Miley Cyrus's relationship with ex-fiancé Liam Hemsworth. The Wrecking Ball singer was split from Hemsworth back in 2013, but has recently been wearing what looks like to be her old engagement ring. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Parton said, "I was really happy to hear that they had gotten back together. I guess we'll have to wait and see if Miley confirms this for herself." That's all I have for the entertainment today. Now back to Gaston and Kavya at the desk.
Thank you, Taylor. Coming up after the break, Delisha will have our weather forecast.
If you were 90 years old and was diagnosed with cancer, what would you do? Find out what one American woman has decided to do. Oh, I guess.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us on Eye on Sheridan.
I hope Delisha has some good news for us because I really want some spring weather. Delisha?
Caveat, is such a beautiful day today here in Oakville. Right now it's mainly cloudy with a little bit of sunshine, sitting at a high of 16, dropping to a low of 10 at night. Let's take a look at this week's forecast. Thursday will be mainly cloudy with showers at a high of 10, going down to a low of 1 in the evening. Lots of sunshine coming in for Friday, sitting at a high of 9, dropping to a low of 2. It's going to warm up a bit on Saturday with clear skies and sunshine at a high of 14, dipping to a low of 4 at night. And don't forget to set your clocks 1 hour forward at midnight. Sunday will be mainly cloudy with showers at a high of 6. Temperatures will drop to a low of 4 in the evening. Monday will be mainly cloudy with a 60% chance of showers with a high of 9, going to a low of 6 at night. Looks like spring has come early, so hopefully we could finally put away our winter jackets. That's it for this week's forecast. Until next time, I'm Delisha Williams, back to the studio.
Thank you, Delisha. 90-year-old Miss Norma from Michigan is hitting the road after cancer diagnostics. Miss Norma decided not to have treatment and instead to see America. So far, Norma has made it to Mount Rushmore, Florida, and the Grand Canyon. She's traveling in an RV with her son Tim and daughter-in-law Remy.
Well, Miss Norma is certainly proving that it's never too late to hit the road.
Wow, what a resilient spirit. That's all we have for today's show. Please join us again next Wednesday. I'm Kavya Yoganathan.
And I'm Gaston Calzado. We'll see you next week here at Eye on Sheridan at 3:30.